Welcome to the High Level Wife Podcast. This is a space for Christian wives who love God, want their marriage healed, and are done performing, fixing, striving, or trying to control their way to change. Here we're going to talk about marriage God's way through right order, surrender, heart posture, and spirit-led transformation. This is not self-help, it's discipleship. My name is Chelsey Holm, and my role is to help you move from awareness into obedience so real healing, wholeness, and restoration can take root. Let's begin.
Welcome back to the High Level Wife Podcast. I'm Chelsey Holm, your hostess, and we do Marriage God's Way here. And today we're talking about God's way for intimacy, and specifically 10 ways to restore intimacy God's way. And we're going to frame the whole episode around the fact of this question of how do we become naked and unashamed again after life taught us to hide? Okay, because from the beginning in Genesis 2, it wasn't merely physical nakedness, but it was emotional openness, safety, vulnerability, trust, being fully known, right? Uh, just think back to the Genesis story, and Eve was created, and it was very, very good, and then what did Adam do? He knew her, right? So the problem is, though, that life teaches us to hide, and we saw this very clearly in Genesis. Right, we saw the fall, and then what did Adam and Eve immediately do? They went and hid, and they made coverings for themselves, right? They were naked, they knew it, and they were ashamed. But God's design for intimacy is to be naked and unashamed. So we need to understand that physical intimacy is usually the indicator light or the area where we experience this brokenness of living in a fallen world and hurts and destruction in our marriages the most, because it's the area where we see first attacked in the Garden of Eden, right? It was that disconnect, it was that broken fellowship. And then we see that broken fellowship carry over into with the Lord. And then we see that brokenness and that disconnect carry over into how they were sent out of the garden, right? And the curse, and on and on and on and on and on. So we have to understand God's design for intimacy before the fall, and we have to understand the consequences of how that negatively impacted and disrupted God's design for intimacy after the fall so that we can actually move forward together. So the first one here is to ask God, not saying fix my marriage, but instead asking God, restore what only you can restore. Reveal where you want healing. Show me what I cannot see. Heal what only you can heal. And teach me how to receive again, because some things only God can rebuild. The second one is grieve what should have been. And this one is huge because many wives skip this grief. And I did for so many years. So many years I skipped this. And it's why my body reminded me. And I had to walk through this process, which should have been a slow and steady process, turned into a jumping into the deep end process of the Lord moving me through very quickly. Of grieving the things, right? You're grieving what should have been. So the faithful spouse you expected, the innocence that was lost, years that hurt, unmet expectations, what you thought marriage would look like, because ungrieved pain tends to stay stuck. And eventually it will yell loud enough that you cannot ignore it. Number 3, surrender fully to God's timing, because you cannot rush trust. Say that 5 times fast. You cannot rush trust, force safety, manufacture softness, or demand healing speed. But instead, pray, God, I surrender what restoration looks like to you. Number 4, stop making agreement with hopelessness. Go back and listen to the episode before this, because this one is a silent but powerful killer. And this is where many women get stuck. Agreement sounds like it'll never change. This is just how I am. I'm actually going to be doing some episodes about female cycles, hormonal cycles, because this is just how I am. It's detrimental. Uh, Other agreements can sound like I'll never enjoy intimacy, we'll never be close again, but instead replace it with God, help me believe what you say is possible. Number 5, and this is a big one, learn safety again. And this is safety in your body, in your mind, and in your spirit, because sometimes your body learned that touch equals danger, or vulnerability equals danger, or openness equals danger. And so this may look like sitting close together, or holding hands, or intentional affection, or simply slowing down. You don't have to jump from closed to fully open. And if you do try to do that, what's going to happen is you are going to disconnect, disassociate, or numb, and nobody is going to enjoy the fullness of intimacy as God designed it. Number 6 is to become a student of your spouse again. And this is something that I have been teaching, I've been sharing content about, because we need to understand that people change over time. You've changed. You're not the same person today that you were 10, 20 years ago. So we need to be asking questions about our spouse of who are they now? What changed? What creates connection and what creates safety? And asking it for yourself too. And intimacy is going to grow through curiosity. Curiosity of having a desire to understand one another and to be someone who is understanding. Number 7, build friendship first, because many couples try to restore physical intimacy without restoring friendship. So ask, do we laugh together? Like, take account of this in your life. Take an audit of this. Like, are we laughing together? Are we actually enjoying each other? Like, do we actually even like each other anymore? Do we actually talk about things that matter? Um, do we pursue one another? Right. And this is not in the sense of you looking at all the areas your husband isn't doing this with you and saying, oh, here, do all these things, check all these boxes, and then intimacy would be restored. No, do not mishear me on that. That is not right at all. Right. It's about taking an audit so that you can focus on restoring the friendship first. Number 8, practice openness intentionally. So this is where we're praying, teach me to be soft again. Teach me to be open again. Teach me to receive again, not force, right? Not just never saying no, always saying yes. It's a practice. We're practicing openness intentionally because your body learned to be closed. It can also relearn. This is the beauty of our brains that are constantly wiring and rewiring based on the strongest thoughts and the most repetitive thoughts that we have. Our bodies are our bodies move by those wirings. And so the beautiful thing is we can retrain, but it's a practice. And it starts from that humility of asking God to teach us these things. Number 9 is create repeated positive experiences. So restoration usually happens small moment after small moment after small moment, right? Think about a kid doing something for the first time. How is their confidence built? Right? Their confidence is built by doing it and then doing it again and then continuing to do it. So some examples of this could be those intentional date nights, of those positive experiences of simply cuddling together without any expectations, praying together, coffee together, intentional touch, eye contact, laughing. Trust grows through repetition, just like trust was destroyed through repetition often. And number 10 is continue choosing each other. And this is the hardest one because intimacy is rarely one big moment, it is thousands of choices. And when I say to choose, this is reminding yourself that you are in a covenant relationship that God designed and put into motion. A covenant is a two-way promise, okay? A covenant is an agreement. So it's not just I choose you today, it's I am bound to you by covenant under God, and I will uphold this covenant. No matter how I feel today or tomorrow or any of that because I walk in the Spirit and I'm surrendered fully to God here. So it's choosing in those moments to be vulnerable rather than closed off or guarded. It's choosing to be curious rather than demanding your own way or only focusing on what you have to say. It's choosing connection rather than withdrawing in hurt or fear of being hurt again. It's choosing forgiveness. Go back to the episode on forgiveness about this. Right? It's choosing forgiveness and understanding what forgiveness actually means and what it actually looks like in marriage. It's choosing surrender, daily surrender to God, to what He's doing in you and through you, to what He's revealing He wants to heal in you, to what He is exposing He wants to prune and refine in you to produce so much more fruit than what it is now, again and again and again. So, restoring intimacy is not returning to what existed before. So often we get stuck in that mindset of trying to recreate what was in the past rather than looking at the finished work of the cross and we are new creations. The old has passed away and the new has come. We have to look forward to the hope of the intimacy and restoration that we're going to have restored with God Himself, and how marriage is this avenue that we get to experience that, a small part of that, this side of heaven. Okay. So sometimes God creates something deeper, safer, stronger, more honest than before. I would say He always does. He always does. Intimacy is not restored because time passes. That's such a lie. Such a lie that the enemy tells us to keep us in isolation and refusing to heal. Okay. Time has nothing to do with it because a day to God is 1,000 years, and 1,000 years can seem like a day to Him. Okay. So time is not the answer. That's such a lie. That's what keeps us stuck. But intimacy is restored when two people intentionally partner with God and repeatedly move toward one another again and again and again. I'll see you on the next episode.
If this episode stirred something in you, but high level wife feels like too big of a step right now, I want you to hear this clearly. You don't have to jump ahead to honor what God is doing. I created a short guided experience called From Awareness to Surrender for women who aren't ready for ongoing support but know they can't stay where they are. It includes 3 short teachings, a guided exercise, and a prayer I recorded over you. It's going to help you move from awareness into real response. You'll find the link in the show notes. And if you're not ready even for that, don't rush past this moment. Sit with God and ask Him what obedience looks like next.